Hi there, I'm Ginger Lou, and I'm here to show you how to pour epoxy to seal in your artwork. I'm a mixed media artist, and I use paper and acrylic paint and spray paint and just all kinds of things in my artwork. The first thing you want to do is you want to put on some gloves, because epoxy is terrible to have on your fingers. So here we go. Next thing you want to do is you make sure you have a drop cloth underneath, because the epoxy will drain off the sides, and you want to have something to catch it. And I use paper cups to elevate it, so it's not just sitting in the epoxy that drains off the sides. And also, it's always good to have a mask. These are P100 masks, and they filter out any fumes. But I'm doing, or use do it outside or with a very well ventilated area. And your epoxy, there's all different brands out there. I bought it in kind of large containers because I want to do a lot of pieces. It's more cost effective that way. And I got mine at Home Depot, actually. So you want to mix equal parts, and I like to recycle containers, so I can just throw it away when I'm done, or just use it for a few times until it's yucky. And a paint stick to stir it. So it's pretty simple. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mix part A in my bucket here. You just want to be very sure that you have equal parts, that they're exact same amount. And another thing is, before I pour the epoxy onto paper, I always seal it with Mod Podge, or there's another paste that's very similar. It's called Yes. And I usually will do 2 coats of that, but I'm very careful not to make the paper flat around the edges, so that the epoxy doesn't seep underneath of it. Alrighty, and I have my rubber spatula. I'm just going to scrape this out of the container here. I'm going to use this for the part B, the epoxy as well. And you want to make sure that you do this, you want to read the label on your actual epoxy, but it's usually, most epoxies are heat activated, so if the room is too high of a temperature, it just will not work out well. It will set way too fast. I've done that once. That's a mistake you make one time. So it's a learning experience. Okay, so part A is in the container. And next I will grab this one. And fill it up all the way. And you want to be careful not to manipulate it too much, because you want to minimize the amount of bubbles that are in there. You don't want a lot of bubbles in your epoxy. not look good. Here we go. Straighten all this out. Okay. Bingo. Now I want to take my stir stick and I want to stir this up really well, but kind of gently. Minimize the amount of bubbles that are in it. And what I do, it takes about 3 or 4 minutes. I want to stir it up until it is translucent, because right now it's a bit cloudy as the two different chemicals are merging together. So bear with me. And I also have fabric on these collages. And I also put the Mod Podge over those. And I have these little fabric flowers that are in there, and I put the Mod Podge over those too. And I have pieces of glass and mirror, little rocks, little plastic pieces. I have all kinds of stuff, and they're all perfectly safe for this epoxy. Alright, keep stirring this. Fun, fun, fun. And here's some pieces that I did that are finished. This one here, and that one right there, and that one just has the Mod Podge on it like these. This one needs to be done over there. And it's safe for, I have glitter on here, and after you pour the epoxy on it, it really brings out the colors. It makes them a lot more vibrant. It's like wet. It makes it look wet. And then the glitter gets a lot more glittery. Just accentuates what's there. Kind of makes it pop out. Like when I was little, I remember finding abalone shells and putting mineral oil on them to make the colors kind of like pop out. It's kind of the same idea. So I can see it's becoming more and more clear as I stir this. And I've even poured this on furniture, like if I paint and collage, like mixed media on furniture, you can pour this over the top of it, and it creates like a nice little sealed coat. Should be almost done here. Thank you for your patience. Okay, so like 1 more minute. dough. Okay, let's do this. Okay, so I am going to throw this on. I guess I'll start with this one. I'm going to pour some on. Then I shall tilt it until it's just about to get to the edge. Then I'm going to tilt it down this way. Until it's just about to get to the edge again. And I'm going to tilt it. I'm going to keep doing that. And I'm going to hold it over this piece so that the extra will go on the next piece that I'm going to do. Okay. Keep turning it down, coat the whole thing nice and evenly until it's just about to come to the edge. And then tilt it this way next. I'm going to add some more. And then I'll do the same thing. Again. All right. Down. And it's already making the glitter very sparkly. And you can even stick your finger in there if you have gloves on. If you see a part that's just not getting coated, I want to get that little corner right there. There we go, got it. Okay. There we go. Nice. More. I'm just going to keep doing that until the whole thing is covered. And then a way to check to see is shining a light on it. You can kind of see what parts are covered and what parts aren't covered. This. It's a little bit of patience, I guess. Keep going. So this corner just got it. Now this one down here on the bottom. I think it's almost got it all over it. Looks pretty good to me. Nice. Maybe there's like one little spot on the edge. Okay. Ta-da! All right, now this one has some on it already, so I'm just gonna add a little bit more here. And I shall do the same process. As soon as it gets to the edge, I will tilt it. And then it got down there and tilt it this way now. More. Going with this. So it's all coated evenly. All of the edges are covered. And if you have things that kind of are high up on it, like these little objects, you can take your finger and just kind of paint it over with your finger. Works pretty well. Patiently waiting for it to drip down. And I will turn it. Okay, so like these, I want to make sure these are covered all the way. These little squares. So it kind of matches this part as well. Okay, so this part's all good to go. I'm just gonna pour some over here. I even have dried flowers in here. Just be aware if you have glitter, it does travel with the epoxy. It doesn't necessarily stay in the exact same spot as you put it in. Again, I Mod Podged over it, but like if I was doing one piece right now, and then this one had glitter, if the next one didn't have glitter, the drips would probably transfer the glitter. So you want to be aware of that. If you don't want glitter on a piece, then start with a piece with no glitter. Otherwise, you just glitterized it. So, there we go. That piece looks covered. Nice. Okay. So, for my next trick, this one. Again, I have objects in here. I'm going to make sure they're completely covered. Even. And go like this. Even. Right, there we go. Now it's completely covered. And I still have some in here. So what I usually do is I will just pour some extra on here, and then that will spread out on its own. And just make it, oh, that was fun. That was a piece from my last floor. Okay. Can I use this end? I wonder if I can do that other piece. Maybe it will fit on here. That would be super cool. I'm gonna try it. Try to squeeze one more in here. The epoxy is pretty expensive. So. I think these were like $60 for both of them. Except I don't know where I put my cups. See? Fingers crossed. Yeah, I think it'll work. Maybe I'll just very carefully balance it on here. Bam. I think I can make this work. Okay. So I'm gonna try to stretch this out. Last minute, add this guy here. And then I can drain some of it from there onto here. One thing it is kind of hard to judge how much epoxy to use. So it's good to have more art pieces out. I kind of wait until I need to do a bunch of them and do them all at one time. It's just really hard to judge how much epoxy you'll need to cover them. You don't want to do too much and have it roll off the edges and just lose it all. Same thing. Try to stretch this out as much as I can. And I just make my art on wood. I can get a little bit off of here. Maybe not. So instead of having a huge thick layer of epoxy, they're going to be a little thinner. That's totally fine. Like I said, it's kind of expensive, so might as well make it go farther. A lot off of that one. Awesome. Try this one next. And make sure this whole thing is covered. Last but not least, this guy. Oopsies. Turn this one off. And for this last one, I'm going to spread it out with my finger, making sure it's completely covered here. Make sure any objects are covered. Fabric that I have in here is covered. Be mindful of any areas that didn't get coated. Okay. And the last thing I'm going to do is run my fingers along the sides. Make sure the sides got coated as well. Okay, here we go. Around all sides. And it's always good to photograph it before you put the epoxy on and after you put the epoxy on. Sometimes it's hard to capture a good photo once you put the epoxy in because of the glare. All right, looking good. The last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of any bubbles that are in there hanging out. Bubbles are not good. So I'm just using an old blow dryer. And I've used it so much with epoxy on my hands that it doesn't turn on and off anymore. I have to plug it in and then it just turns on. It's frozen. Oops. All right. So there you have it. You're blow drying it. You just want to make sure you don't have it too close because it'll push the epoxy off the sides. So you want to do it far enough distance away, but still close enough to, you can gauge it when you do it. You can kind of play with it. And there you go. Thank you so much for joining me. And I hope you have many happy epoxy experiences. So thank you so much.